wisdom, with the divisions of the Abhishamaya. Translated by Edward Conze. University of California Press, Berkeley, Los Angeles, London. Translation of the Sutra. Chapter 32. The distinction of merit. Fairly weak. If someone, kausika, had established one single being in the fruit of a stream winner, he would thereby beget an infinite merit. But not so if he had established all the beings in jambudvipa in the 10 ways of wholesome action. And why? Because beings established in the 10 ways of wholesome action are not liberated from rebirth in the hells, among animals, in the world of yama, or among the asuras, whereas those who have been established in the fruit of a stream winner are liberated from all such rebirths. Weakly medium. Compared with establishing all beings of jambudvipa in the 10 ways of wholesome action, someone would beget the greater merit if he were to establish one single being in the fruit of a once-returner. Moderately medium. Or in the fruit of a never-returner. Strongly medium. Or in arhatship. Strongly medium. Or in the establishment of a pratyeka Buddha. Medium strong. And as one person were to establish the beings of jambudvipa in the fruit of a stream winner, and another were to establish one single being in the supreme enlightenment, then the latter would beget the greater merit. And why? Because he is concerned with the non-interruption of the guide of the Buddhas. Strongly strong. And just so. If one person were to establish all the beings in jambudvipa in the fruit of a once-returner, and another were to establish one single being in the supreme enlightenment, then the latter would beget the greater merit. Eulogy. Very weak. And the same applies to the fruit of a never-returner. Moderately weak. To arhatship. Fairly weak. And to the enlightenment of a pratyeka Buddha. And why? Because the one who establishes even one single being in the supreme enlightenment is concerned with the non-interruption of the guide of the Buddhas. And why? Because from the bodhisattvas have come forth all the tathagatas that there are. By this method also one should know that the bodhisattvas should be worshipped, adored, honored, and revered, with flowers too. Banners by the world, with its gods. Maras Brahmas too. This world with its Shramanas and Brahmanas. Weakly medium. Someone who would establish as many beings as there are in jambudvipa in the 10 paths of wholesome action, what do you think, kausika, would he on the strength of that beget a great deal of merit? Sakra. A great deal, O Lord, a great deal, O Sugata. The Lord. Someone who would give this book on perfect wisdom to someone else, so that he may read, copy, or recite it, would beget a merit greater than that. And why? Because here in this perfection of wisdom are expounded in detail those dharmas without outflows through which those who train themselves therein have entered into the certainty of salvation. And will enter into it, too. Through which they have attained arhatship and the enlightenment of a pratyeka Buddha, and will attain it. Through which the bodhisattvas, the great beings, have entered into a bodhisattva's way of salvation, and will enter it too. Through which they have fully known the utmost right, and perfect enlightenment, and will fully know it. And which kausika are the dharmas without outflows? They are the 6 perfections. The 37 wings of enlightenment. The 4 truths. The 18 kinds of emptiness. The 10 powers of a tathagata. The 4 grounds of self-confidence. The 4 analytical knowledges. The 18 special Buddha dharmas. The great friendliness, the great compassion, the great sympathetic joy, the great impartiality, and the infinite Buddha dharmas, and they are all here expounded in detail by the tathagatas. By this method also, kausika, should one know that someone who has copied this book on perfect wisdom, and gives it to someone else to be read, copied, and recited, would beget the greater merit compared with the one who establishes the beings of jambudvipa in the 10 paths of wholesome action. And why? Because in this perfection of wisdom are expounded in detail all the dharmas by which good warrior families are conceived to the gods, to the applications of mindfulness, to the Tathagatas, the arhats, the fully enlightened Buddhas. Leaving aside kausika, the beings in jambudvipa, as many beings as there are in a four-continent world system. If someone were to establish them in the 10 paths of wholesome action, what do you think, kausika, would that person on the strength of that beget much merit? Sacra. Much, O Lord, O Sugata. The Lord. Compared with him, someone would beget the greater merit if he would give this book on perfect wisdom to someone else, to be read, copied, or recited. And why? For the same reason as before. Leaving aside kausika, the beings in a four-continent world system, as many beings as there are in a small chiliocosm, as before. Leaving aside kausika, the small chiliocosm, as many beings as there are in a medium chiliocosm, if someone were to establish them all in the 10 paths of wholesome action, too. In pratyeka Buddhahood, what do you think, kausika, would that person on the strength of the beget much merit? Sacra. Much, O Lord, much, O Sugata. The Lord. Someone else will beget the greater merit if he gives a copy of this perfection of wisdom to someone else who at least reads and recites it. Leaving aside kausika, the beings in a medium chiliocosm who have been established in everything up to the enlightenment of a pratyeka Buddha, if someone were to establish all the beings in a great trichiliocosm in the 10 paths of wholesome action, too, in the enlightenment of a pratyeka Buddha. And if someone else were to give a copy of this perfection of wisdom to others, even only for them to read and recite it, then the latter begets the greater merit. Leaving aside the beings in a great trichiliocosm, if someone had established all the beings in the countless world systems in the 10 directions, in the 10 paths of wholesome action, too, in pratyeka Buddhahood, and if someone else were to give a copy of this perfection of wisdom to someone else if only to read and recite it, then the latter would beget the greater merit. And why? Because here in this perfection of wisdom are expounded in detail, too, the Tathagatas, the arhats, the fully enlightened Buddhas. Moreover, kausika, if someone were to establish the beings of jambudvipa in the 4 trances, the 4 unlimited, the 4 formless attainments or the 5 superknowledges, would he on the strength of that beget much merit? Sacra. Much, O Lord, much, O Sugata. The Lord. Someone else will beget the greater merit if he gives a copy of this perfection of wisdom to some other person, although that person only reads and recites it. And why? Because therein the dharmas without outflows are expounded in detail. Moreover, if someone were to take up this perfection of wisdom, bear it in mind, recite and study it, and wisely attend to it, then he will have begotten a greater merit than someone else who had established the beings in world systems of any size in the 10 paths of wholesome action, in the trances, unlimited, and formless attainments. And here the wise attention consists in that one takes up, too, wisely attends to this perfection of wisdom without coursing in duality towards enlightenment, and that without coursing in duality towards enlightenment one takes up, too, wisely attends to the other perfections, the emptinesses too, the knowledge of all modes, moderately medium. Moreover, if someone were to demonstrate the perfection of wisdom in many ways to others, were to explain it in detail, develop it, comment and enlarge on it, and expound its meaning, and if someone else would show the meaning of this perfection of wisdom by way of non-duality, not through duality, not through sign or the signless, not through toiling or the withdrawal from it, not through adding or subtracting anything, not through defilement or purification, not through production or stopping, not through appropriation or non-appropriation, not through stability or instability, not through what is real or unreal, not through junction or non-junction, with nothing omitted or non-omitted, not through conditions or non-conditions, not through dharma or non-dharma, not through suchness or non-suchness, not through the reality limit or the non-reality limit. Then that son or daughter of good family will beget the great med who would explain this perfection of wisdom in detail to others, who would study, demonstrate, and develop it, and who would enlarge on it and would expound its meaning. And his merit will be much greater than that of the one who only for himself takes it up, bears it in mind, recites and studies it, and wisely attends to it. Strongly medium. Moreover, someone who explains the perfection of wisdom to others will beget a greater merit than someone who only studies it by and for himself. Sacra. So it is, O Lord, so it is, O Sugata. The Lord. It is just so that someone should expound the perfection of wisdom, both its meaning and its letters. When he does so, he will be endowed with an immeasurable, incalculable, and infinite heap of merit. Weakly strong. Someone would during his entire life honor the countless Tathagatas in each one of the 10 directions with what brings them ease, revere, and worship them, with flowers. And if someone else would demonstrate this perfection of wisdom to others by various methods and in some detail, and would instruct them in its meaning, then the latter begets the greater merit. And why? Because as a result of having trained in this perfection of wisdom do the Tathagatas of the past, future, and present know full enlightenment. Medium strong. Greater still is the merit of someone who for endless kalpas explains the 6 perfections to others, and that without taking anything as a basis. What then is a basis? When someone gives a gift while taking something as a basis, it occurs to him that, I give a gift, this gift I give. I will abide in giving gifts to others. But this is not the perfection of giving. Nor is it the perfection of morality to think that this is morality, I am moral, those beings I will protect. Nor is it the perfection of patience to think that I make an effort to be patient. I endure this because of someone else. I will abide in this patience, nor is it the perfection of wisdom to think that I develop wisdom, this is wisdom, for the sake of those will I abide in this wisdom. For someone who courses in a basis cannot fulfill any of the perfections. Sacra. How then must a bodhisattva course so that he can fulfill the 6 perfections? The Lord. Here a bodhisattva, when he gives a gift, does not apprehend the gift, the donor, or the recipient. This is called the perfection of giving. He does not apprehend morality, those of good conduct, or a being. That is called the perfection of morality. He does not apprehend patience, that which has to be endured, or one who is patient. That is called the perfection of patience. He does not apprehend vigor, body, or thought. That is called the perfection of vigor. He does not apprehend trance, nor one who experiences the trances, nor that which should be experienced in trance. That is called the perfection of meditation. He does not apprehend wisdom, nor one who is wise, nor that which should be known by wisdom. This is called the perfection of wisdom. When a bodhisattva courses thus he can fulfill the 6th perfection. It is thus that someone should without basing himself on anything expound the 6 perfections, complete in meaning and letters. And why? Because in a future period there will arise some sons and daughters of good family who will expound a counterfeit perfection of wisdom. Also for the sake of those who have set out for the supreme enlightenment and who hear this counterfeit perfection of wisdom should this perfection of